From family events to volunteer opportunities to community happenings, there is a lot going on in your community. Learn about all the possibilities and opportunities on this episode of Community Hotline.
Hi, and welcome to Community Hotline. My name is Monica Weitzel, and we're here at MetroEast Community Media in Gresham, Oregon. Happy to have you join us tonight. And with me tonight, I have Megan Josie, who is the Outdoor Programs Coordinator for Friends of the Columbia Gorge. Thanks for being here, Megan.
You bet.
Now, I've been on the mailing list for a short while with Friends of the Gorge, and been following all the cool stuff that you do. And it's amazing how many things that the Friends of the Gorge is involved in. Can you, before we talk about some of the programs that you're involved in, can you give me like a brief history of the Friends of the Gorge organization?
Yeah, I'll try to be as brief as I can.
Well, no, take your time, take your time.
Because there is a long history, and every day it seems like a little bit more gets unraveled. But last year we actually celebrated the 25th anniversary of the Scenic Area Act, and the Gorge is much, much older than 25 years, yes. But the Act passed in 1986, and Friends of the Columbia Gorge was started back in 1980, and its first goal was preservation of the Columbia River Gorge, which is 83 miles, so right here on the Sandy River east to the Deschutes River over by the Dalles. And so was that act part of what they did? Were they involved in getting that act passed? Correct. Okay. Yeah. So I like to tell people of the area that we're talking about, the gorge, because the gorge is a little bit longer in some people's minds. And so it took about 6 years, and then in 1986 the act was passed, and it was literally a miracle. It was the story was told a couple times last year by Bowen Blair, who was the executive director during the time that the act was passed, and it was the only standalone environmental legislation passed by Reagan. They claim that he was signing it with one hand and then holding his nose with the other, because it was so. Because here, let me give you the framework. I haven't done any of the describing of this, but it was absolutely like everything had to happen for this to. And there's a lot of decisions and I'm not real good here talking about politics, but it was just everything had to line up, and it did. And it was literally at midnight they reconvened the House and the Senate to get back together, and right before the deadline it was passed. Wow. And it was the first one of its kind. So that's where there was a lot of pushback of, like, you're taking 2 states, 6 counties, 13 urban areas, and tribal lands, and putting them all under one management plan. Wow, that was a big deal, huh? It was a really big deal. So fast forwarding now, we're in our 26th year, and there's been a lot of challenges, but an awful lot of successes as well. So what all is the Friends of the Gorge responsible for doing? What is the mission of the Gorge? Yeah, good question. So first and foremost, we're protectors, and so we are the only environmental organization that's committed to protecting the National Scenic Area. And then secondly, we are landowners, so we have 900 acres of land in our land trust that was formed in the around 2005, and so that's securing private land and then turning it over into public hands so we can create trails and have those areas open for the public to enjoy. We're also educators, and that's my role in organizing over 100 hikes annually, taking people to places they've never been or experiencing things and learning things they never knew about. And then we're also taking on a new role as a connector with a Gorge Towns to Trails program, which we'll be hearing more about through Friends of the Columbia Gorge work over the next couple of years.
So you do a lot of stuff.
We do, yeah.
So when you say you're protectors of the gorge, you're involved in legislation and that kind of thing, or the organization is?
We're
that's not your area, but can you give me a little idea? I know I was reading about, I had to write it down because I can't remember what it was called. It was the, The Whistling Ridge.
Yes.
Whistling
Yeah.
Ridge
So that's the
project.
latest news. We got a decision was made last week by Governor Gregoire. And but before I get going on that, first and foremost, we are an advocacy group. So what that means is we do have a conservation group, we have a legal group, and we are protecting from industrial development or urban expansion. We are committed to protecting the scenic, natural, cultural, and recreational resources within the gorge. So
Very worthy
that
goals.
that
That's
is
the
that
mission.
is what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But Whistling Ridge wind turbine proposal, the most controversial wind farm project in the state of Washington. The governor agreed to the 35 turbines that were proposed, and that is originally there was 50 turbines that were proposed, and then 15 were removed, and those were the 15 most prominent looking from the gorge or from like the Oregon side looking across, because we're talking about Whistling Ridge, which is in the Washington side, obviously.
Okay,
near, like it would be across from basically Hood River area above White Salmon.
Right.
So, you know, the catchy part is, and some people would say, well, why is Friends of the Columbia Gorge, an environmental nonprofit group, not supporting renewable energy?
Right, and that's not the issue.
No, it isn't. It's where it's sited and where it's where they want to put it. And here you would have these 426 feet wind turbines marring the view up and down the gorge. And so not only physically and from the scenery aspect, but you would also it's proven time and time again that real estate goes down when you're in a view shed of these wind turbines. So there'd be a lot of other economic impacts from
Imagine
the
there'd be
Hood
some
River.
environmental impact to the wildlife too, wouldn't there?
Absolutely, yeah. And the footprints of them, learning about this is, I can't quote it exactly, but the huge footprints as in the amount of roads that have to be built to put them up, and then the base of concrete. These are humongous.
Yeah,
So, and I think what kind of clinched it all of the reasons that we've been talking about is it's marginal in the amount of wind that it would produce. It's a very small percentage, and so we don't see that as a benefit for what it's going to scar.
The payoff isn't
Yeah.
enough. And I know that's not your area, but I appreciate you talking to me about that, because it does kind of give people an idea of some of the things that Friends of the Gorge does.
Absolutely.
Now, you, on the other hand, are in charge of the outdoor program.
Correct.
So what you said your job is you're in charge of like all the hikes.
Correct.
So tell me some of the things that you do in your job then.
Yeah, definitely. So about 80% of my time I'm working with our hiking program, and we lead over 100 hikes a year. And so this weekend actually we're starting out at Catherine Creek, and as soon as the grass widows come out on the eastern end of the gorge, which is much drier, so you start to see earlier spring flowers. That's when our hiking program can really ramp up. So we have 4 months ahead of us with 59 outings from bike rides, hikes primarily, and some tours where we'll put a bunch of people in a 15-passenger van and then take them up and down the gorge, educating them.
Any of that stuff.
A lot of people don't.
The newsletter. So if you want to find out about it, people need to sign up and get those newsletters, because there's some really cool stuff you have going on.
Yeah.
So are you involved in almost all of those, even the bus ones?
Primarily, I'm involved in all the organizing. So we have a lot of volunteers that lead these, and from people in the front or in the back of the group, because we take 25 out on our outings, and so we have sweeps or shepherds. But we have
there's no stragglers.
Yeah, we don't want to lose anyone. We haven't done that. But what we see out there's a lot of opportunities to go out and about in the gorge or anywhere really in the state with clubs. But what makes us unique is that we educate you, and we really want to showcase that these landscapes were not there 25 years ago, and that we and many other groups are working hard to protect these areas and to keep them open and available for everyone.
So when you're taking a group on a hike, you can give them a little history of the area. Absolutely. And do you know most of the wildlife and the names of some of the plants and trees and that kind of thing around there?
Yeah. So it totally depends. Like we'll have bird walks. We have some experts in that area. Others in geology and the Ice Age floods that carved out the landscape. We'll have our botanists. We'll have historians or authors of books. We've got Scott Cook, who wrote Curious Gorge, and we have Craig Romano, who wrote Day Hiking in the Gorge. Some two excellent resources for hiking in the gorge that'll lead hikes for us. So
whatever your interest is,
really, we would have something. Yeah.
And we have such amazing resources here as far as outdoor places to go. I mean, my gosh, the gorge is a treasure. So you have some programs coming up that are actually, one has already started. Is that right? Is that the Waterfall? Wanderlust.
Yeah.
So, and I think we have a little flyer about that we'll put up on the screen. So tell me what the Waterfall Wanderlust is. And didn't this something similar to this start last year,
Correct.
you said?
Yeah.
So tell me about that.
Yeah. So Waterfall Wanderlust started the beginning of this month, and really, this is the time to go see these 25 waterfalls. So what we put together is 25 beautiful and semi-obscured waterfalls. So you won't see the more popular ones like Multnomah Falls or Horsedale Falls listed on there. We'll take you to ones that oftentimes get overlooked or lesser known. And just in Oregon alone, there's 77 waterfalls. And
77 waterfalls in Oregon?
In Oregon, and there's many others on the Washington side as well. Not as many, of course, because it doesn't have quite the cliff edge terrain, but so it was a springboard from last year. We had our 25 Trails 25 years to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Scenic Area.
Every year of existence, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't quite formatted that way, but you could definitely, put it that way. We really wanted to highlight that nearly half of those trails were not in existence 25 years ago. So to highlight that there's a lot of work that has been done, nearly 40,000 acres over the last 25 years, has been turned from private lands to public lands. 40,000 acres.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of acreage. So, that's part of our work and other organizations as well. And a lot of that's working with Forest Service and other
your group
government
doesn't
agencies.
Actually
we
make
help
them, but right? I mean, you don't.
We help secure it, so
getting the
land,
lands, right,
and then we sell it to the Forest Service.
And so if people wanted to deed their land to Friends of the Gorge, put it in their will or something.
Absolutely,
They're in that area, that would be a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
And that way, be preserved forever. I assume. Yeah. That's kind of a cool idea. Not that I have any land there, but if I did.
Sure.
So last year you had the 25 waterfalls, and was that a success?
Last year we had 25 trails.
25 trails, sorry.
Yeah,
25
now
trails.
we have 25 waterfalls.
Okay.
And so we're encouraging people to go out and see these waterfalls, and again, oftentimes overlooked, and to, there's some kind of a lure or draw to waterfalls, and so
everybody loves a waterfall.
Absolutely. So how people internalize it and how they kind of make this their own, they're not hard to get to. The farthest one is 3.2 miles on the Eagle Creek Trail, so 6.5 miles round trip, but otherwise they're a half mile to a mile, and it's just, it's really, like, I had so much fun putting this together, and you just kind of watch the spray of the waterfall dance around you, and you can't help but think about the ferocity of the water, and just like how water is incorporated into our day every day, and then also the Ice Age floods that carved this landscape out, and we wouldn't even have, like, it just tore out this this canyon, and we wouldn't have those waterfalls. So
for that, yeah.
Yeah.
So when people are thinking about doing this, are you able to help them know which ones maybe are easier, which ones are shorter, which ones are more difficult?
Yep. Go to the website.
Okay, so you've got it all ranked and listed.
Yep. From easy to difficult. One is easy to moderate, but it's the Oneonta Falls. Well, you can really only do that 1 month of the year, and that's in August. And I explain all that because it's up the creek, the Oneonta Creek, in the waterbed. So like you're walking on the riverbed, excuse me. So so it's fascinating. I mean, here's a slot canyon in the gorge that not a lot of people know about. And it's just, it's an incredible gem, again, in the gorge that a lot of people don't know about. But yes, all that information is on the web.
So that would be very helpful to people that are, especially people that maybe are novice hikers.
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
I'm not sure if I can do that. Can I walk that far? Is it going to be too difficult?
Yeah.
Some of them are easier probably to navigate than others.
Yeah, all of them are on official trails, so they're easy to. That's the only one that's, I guess you could say, not like a true trail. It's on a creek bed, but otherwise all of them are on a trail, and they're not that far. Some of them are right off of the old historic highway, and others are off of Highway 14. So, just go online. They can register, and then after that, you can print off the trail log and start checking them off your list, and you've got till the end of October.
So what's the point of registering and checking them off? What's that all about?
Yeah. So ultimately, we want you to be able to hike all 25. You finish it before the deadline.
That's a great accomplishment. It's like a bucket list.
It is, absolutely. Before the end of October, and then those that complete all 25, they'll get a prize. And so that's where we have to know who you are, and so you need to register for this program. But we also ask that you're a member. So you can't get a prize unless you're a member of Friends of the Columbia Gorge. So, and then there's a grand prize. So every finisher will be eligible for the grand prize, which is a 6-person raft trip on the White Salmon.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So
You get to go on that?
Yeah, that would be great. I can. I'm not eligible.
Oh, too bad.
Unless I'm friends with whoever wins it, right?
Unless you're the guest.
Right.
You like your job, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do.
It sounds like a pretty great job.
Yeah.
So there was another program too. Am I right? You had the Waterfall Wanderlust.
And then the hiking program. That's primarily what I oversee. We do have a youth program, but that's very small in comparison to these others, but I think that again exemplifies the diversity within we're just 12 people in our staff in Portland, and then we do have an office in Hood River, but this program is for about 215 students, but it's all the 6th graders in the Washougal School District.
Really?
And we're really, it's a phenomenal program. Started a couple years back, but it's an opportunity to showcase to these kids that this is not a normal backyard, and to really get
appreciate what you have here.
Appreciation.
Oh my goodness,
yeah. So identifying trees and identifying different wildlife and the flowers and other
learn
such
some
things.
of the history of how it was created and what's been done.
Yeah.
That's a treasure to have that. To have that, because people grow up in a place like this and they don't always appreciate what they have.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's a lot of it. And I have to say, being a native Oregonian, I didn't get out to the gorge nearly like I do, of course, now. Not only because it's my job, but I just didn't have this sense of appreciation for a lot of these beautiful areas. And I think some people still have this idea that since the act was passed, it's federally protected, this area. So, it won't ever be questioned or challenged.
That isn't the case.
That couldn't be farther from the truth. Yeah. And so that gets interpreted however, people want to see it. And so one of the things we do is review about 300 development permits each year, and that's one thing that we just review to make sure that they're in compliance and in line with our management.
And if they're not, then what?
Then it gets escalated. Yeah, we'll make recommendations. We try to work with the owners of the business or the home or whatever it may be, but there's I won't get into all the details.
But still, that's interesting to know that it isn't automatically taken care of just because it's protected.
And just on a smaller scale in the recreation end, we're seeing that this year the winter storms that I think we're still kind of in.
Yeah, we just had snow the other day.
We've had some pretty major storms that the last 2 years with friends. You organize the hike and then everybody can go hike on it. Well, this year we're having to make sure that the trail is passable, and some of them aren't. And so they've seen some really significant areas, like Multnomah to Wakena Falls. I know that trail was pretty tough to, and that's a more popular one to get through a couple weeks ago. But my point is that they were doing an all call for volunteers to come out and help, and so it's just
help to clear it and to make it passable again.
Absolutely, yeah. And so my point is that there's a lot of people working to keep these areas open and
don't take it for granted. There are people
Absolutely.
behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So if people are interested in volunteering with Friends of the Columbia Gorge, obviously you can always use financial donations, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But people are interested in volunteering. What kind of volunteer opportunities are there?
We have a Lend a Hand program, which is on our land trust property, the third Thursday of the month, which yes, tomorrow is the third Thursday, but we've canceled it because the weather is just not looking that great out in Lisle. But our Lend a Hand program is a great way for folks to come out and learn and see these private these private landscapes, and because you can't get out to our our private property without us out there with you. So that's kind of cool. We do have other areas that we work with the Forest Service and other agencies like WTA, another nonprofit, and a couple others as well. So there's a lot going on.
So when you say they go out to the private land, what are they doing there?
Removing invasives, cutting poison oak, planting, building trail, a lot of general trail maintenance type work. Yeah.
And then what about the hikes? I know you lead a lot of the hikes, but do you have volunteers that also do that?
Yep. So I work with about 60 volunteers.
You said you have to have somebody in the back. So the shepherds, or what did you call them? The
shepherds.
Sweepers or something?
Yeah. So we do have some staff that leads it, but primarily it's all volunteer led, and that's really says a lot about our organization, that we're small but we're mighty, and we really it comes back to you and I and everyone else is like what they can provide and give, whether it's sweat equity or it's financial contribution or their expertise. It makes us that much
strong and small but mighty. I like that.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, my parents took me hiking a lot in the gorge, and I don't think I ever thought about who maintained it and who any of that kind of stuff. And I like it that you're starting with the kids, like the sixth graders, and teaching them that, and then educating them as they get older. So if people want to go on these hikes, the Waterfall Wanderlust or the just the other hikes that you have going on, you're going to give them information. You're going to keep them, show them where they need to go, and
go to our website. And I hate to kind of keep plugging that.
That's good.
But
the website's good.
That's where it's at. So gorgefriends.org and then /hikes. That's where you can find out all the hikes that we're leading this spring and into the beginning of summer. And that's where you can register, and all the details are listed there. And if you are thinking you do want to go, I would recommend signing up early because they're filling up. Are
they filling up? So you're getting a good response to it?
Yeah.
Good. That's good. So what's the most popular time for taking hikes with friends?
It's this time of year. It's right now. People are...
It's not too early.
No. And that's what's so amazing, because the diversity in the gorge is, you've got the drier side, east of Hood River, east of White Salmon, and that's one of the things, is just the diversity in rainfall. And so this time of year, people are anxious. They want to get out. They want to, shake off the winter doldrums. And so
that's true.
See some flowers.
That's true.
So this time of year, we see a lot of people that really want to come out, and they want to be educated on those. And I'm a bit rusty, but I went out and I scouted the trail last week, and I'm ready to go this weekend with the group. So.
Well, good. Well, we're out of time, so
Cool.
we've learned a lot, and I am anxious to get out on one of those hikes myself. So if people are interested, go to the website. Again, the website is
gorgefriends.org.
Okay. And if they want to find out the hikes, /hikes.
Got it.
Okay.
Yep.
So Megan Josie here with Friends of the Columbia Gorge. She will be happy to take you on a hike, or have some other volunteers take you. But do check it out and get out there and enjoy the beautiful gorge, the beautiful wonderland that we have here in the Pacific Northwest. Thanks for watching this edition of Community Hotline. Stay tuned. Next week, we will be talking with the Soroptimist about their wine tasting and auction, Soroptimist International of Gresham, and also Loaves and Fishes. Thanks for joining us. I'm Monica Weitzel. This is Community Hotline.